Gary, end of last year, you got back into football. You took over a very hard job with Burton. I think at the beginning of the year they were 11 points off safety, and yeah, you did it. The great escape. So, how great does it feel to be back in football and to be obviously achieving things?
Yeah, I mean, to be back in football was brilliant. I think I got a lot to thank Radio Lancashire for because obviously they had me doing the games at Blackpool, and that was great. And it really helped because I was watching League One football. So I was getting an eye on the teams and the standard. And then obviously the call came just before Christmas from Burton, and fortunately for myself, I found myself being offered the job, and yes, it was a massive challenge. I think people were questioning my sanity and saying like, what are you doing? But I'd been out of work a long time, and I needed to get back in, and I was excited by what had been sold to me by the owners, and yeah, it was a massive, massive effort from everybody, from like the staff, the support staff, because when we first went in, you can imagine, I think they'd won two in 21 or two in 22, that stretched to two in 27. And, they were on the knees themselves, the staff, and then the players as well, it's similar. And the supporters. So it was a massive job in terms of picking everybody up and trying to get them with smiles on the faces and start enjoying the jobs, and start enjoying coming to the games. And fortunately, like you say, we had a good January window, and then we had a fabulous week where we won three in a week, and that really gave everybody the belief that we're going to be fighting all the way to the end.
What was your mindset going in? Was it always thinking we can survive this, or was it just thinking baby steps, take a win at a time?
Yeah, I was never in a position where I could guarantee an outcome for the anybody. I couldn't go in and say, yeah, we will stay up because I've got no guarantee of that. So what I could guarantee was that we'd work very, very hard in training, and we'd always be competitive in games, and that's exactly what we did. And so it was more a process of, highlighting what strengths we had individually and collectively, and just keep reaffirming them and just keep building on the positives and keep showing them the positives. And like I say, before you knew it, we were winning some football matches. And as we both know, that's the big easy thing to give to players, that gives them that little boost of confidence.
You do love a challenging situation. Think of Blackpool where you took them up. That was a straightforward job. Obviously, you've been in other clubs where it's been difficult. So where does this rank among your career achievements?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I've been very fortunate. The successes that I've had, or as I look at them, I think Blackburn to go in and turn the club around for all the negative media it was getting, and then build a team, sorry, that was young and hungry and with massive sellable assets. That was a real buzz for me because of the fact that I've been there 11 and a half years as well. And so that was a big one. And then, the romance of being a kid and watching my dad play at Wembley so many times, to then actually lead your team out for Blackpool at Wembley, was personally a huge moment for myself, and my family. And then to actually top it off by winning there, that's just huge, so it's all different then to go up to Scotland and be an Englishman winning a league in Scotland. That gives me again enormous a sense of pride. But this one, nobody gave us a chance. We were dead and buried. Everybody was talking that we were relegated in November, December. So yeah, it's a fantastic achievement from everybody, but it's difficult to rank them all because they're all so different and also unique.
Does that make it easier going into Burton that people didn't expect to stay up? That you could just say to the players,
Yeah.
play relaxed?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you look at the situation we find ourselves now in, we've raised expectation. People didn't, when we first went in, people didn't expect us to do anything. Win a football match. That was the highest expectation people had. We end up finishing the season winning nine of our last 19 or 18, I think, nine of our last 19. So, of course, moving into next season, the expectations just been raised. But we know within this game, obviously, we've got players out of contract, we've got players that we'd like to keep that are out of contract, but with the season that they've had, that's obviously going to provide opportunities for them possibly. Then we've had loans go back like most clubs have. So we've got still a big rebuild to do, and yeah, it's going to be really, really tough again because you look at the caliber of teams that have come down. I know people will go, "Oh well, you've lost Birmingham and you've lost Wrexham." Yeah, they're two outliers really, but coming down, you've got Luton who were in the Premiership 2 years ago, and Plymouth and Cardiff. Good grief, how can I forget Cardiff? So that just shows you the size of those clubs and the clubs coming up are big clubs as well. Port Vale, Bradford, Doncaster. So from a budget point of view, it was going to be very, very tough for us again.
Yeah, is it important not to get carried away, just thinking first things first,
Oh,
trying to survive next year?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it is exactly that. You can't get carried away. Like I say, we've got to rebuild and bring some more bodies into the building and see where we are after we've done that first window.
How much did you enjoy stepping back in and being part of a changing room environment again and being around a club?
No, it's brilliant. It's once I look back to my time when I was at Blackburn, I was happy. I was being the reserve coach. It was not a problem. And then you get asked to do the caretaker job twice, and then you get hooked on the management side of it. And then like I say, I've been very fortunate. I've been in work as long as I have, as many times as I have, and I think I've done over 400 games now. So. But yeah, you can't beat being on the grass and working with players. I think, that's what I've always enjoyed. I've always enjoyed putting a team together and building a team and then working with them.
How hard was that time away from management and trying to get back in after obviously your last club had been ended on successful terms? So how difficult was it?
Oh, it was tough, really tough. I mean, initially, because the family stayed in England when I was in Scotland, coming back was okay. It was great to get to see people that you'd not seen for that whole year and obviously integrate back into family life. And then you were able to, go away on holiday at different times of the season. So that was good. And like I say, Radio Lanks and Basie were brilliant for me, and Chizzy, to be getting in and dipping into different games. But then it does get tough. It does get tough. And, you start to question yourself. Doubt creeps in. Well, not creeps in. It is there, and there is such, there's better coaches and managers out of work still now, and they can't get back in, and it is tough. It really is tough, and you need a good support. You need a process for your days because the days sometimes can just fly by without you actually doing anything. So it's important that you have a process in place and a structure to help you with that transition so you get back in. And that was I was fortunate that I had good people around me.
Yeah, when you parted ways with Dundee, did you think it'd be such a struggle to find the next job?
Hand on heart, no, I didn't, and I was offered obviously some jobs that just didn't suit for me and for my family, and of one or two at a level that I didn't think I wanted to drop to, and that's not being disrespectful. That was just I felt that still had a lot to offer. And then I missed out on a couple as well in League One. And you just get a little bit frustrated with that. But, when you lose out to one or two that you look at and you go, yeah, fair enough. I understand that. Any manager will tell you it's when you lose out to ones where you're going, I don't understand that. I don't understand how they've got to that decision, but that's their prerogative, and then you just get on with it again. So, that's the nature of the industry.
Obviously, now you've got back in and you've done something incredible with Burton. Do you almost look at those jobs that you didn't get and think, well, this is what you could have had. I've showcased what I can do.
No, no, you obviously just you just concentrate on what we've done at Burton now, and can we build on that, and can we go again, and try and, like you say, get above that red line again this time next year.
Just finally, you mentioned that doubt that does come into your mind when you are back in and, like I say, you are doing the job day in, day out and things are working for you. Was that just think, what was I thinking about that doubt? You've got to keep that confidence in yourself.
No, no, I think it's human nature to have that doubt, and especially when you're out for or out of work, I think you do question whether you will get back in. You do question, right, is it time for me to look at doing something else? And that's just human nature, and I think what it does do is it makes you appreciate when you're back in every day that you're back working, and obviously then what we have done as well, it makes you appreciate it even more. And I still try and keep in touch with people that I know that are out the game still, and try and support them because, it can be a tough, tough place at times.